Hello, this is Jeff Unay, and now we'll continue on part 2 of hand modeling and sculpting using Maya and Mudbox. So this podcast continues where the first one left off. We'll continue on sharpening up some of the forms of the hand and its wrinkles. We'll take a look at sculpting the palm of the hand and spending a little bit of time really working out the really tricky area where the thumb inserts into the hand. It's this piece of flesh there that whenever you move your thumb, it totally changes form. So we'll just kind of go over just how I end up approaching that area. So we're looking at about 2.5 hours of sculpting time here, compressed into about 15 minutes. And then we'll move on after this portion, part 3, its podcast. We'll look at really doing the high level detailing in the tertiary forms of the hand. So some of the brushes that I end up using at this stage, really I'll end up, for proportions, I'll use 2 brushes, mainly the Move and the Soft brush. And when it comes to adding in some of the larger wrinkles and secondary forms, a lot of times I'll use the pinch and the bulge tool. The soft brush and the Move brush, these are 2 brushes that are really great for just really working on proportions. You can quickly shift things around, build up or subtract an area very quickly. So a lot of times if I'm just kind of going in and honing in on one area, and I just start building up some of the detail around, say, a finger. And when I notice when I rotate that finger around, and I'll notice, well, I've slightly adjusted the proportions. You could just quickly just use the Move brush and just kind of push it back into place while maintaining the detail that you've just created in that area. So in creating some of these details here, a lot of times I'm just using the soft brush, and then going in and using the bulge and the pinch brush, when designing a lot of those secondary forms. I'll end up using the soft brush first by first scoring a really deep, heavy subtractive stroke, and then using the bulge brush over it to help tighten and deflate the surrounding area. It's quite effective when creating some major wrinkle form, minor wrinkle forms as well. And I'll use the pinch brush whenever I need to draw in polygons in an area wherever I need more detailing. So even at the top of the hand here, you can see I'm still kind of, moving and shifting things around, still trying to, give the feel of, the underlying tendons and muscles and bone within the hand, just by, really just subtracting areas between the fingers and things, and just kind of creating some of those forms in there. And once we have all that stuff laid out correctly, that's when we really, that's when you do the fun part. All the heavy detailing. That's when we'll go into different brushes and tools like, the stamp tool, and then projecting textures onto the mesh using the stencil tool. Yeah, Mudbox really does, it really does, cater to doing this high frequency detailing. The tool sets are just really just strong for that. The thing I like about Mudbox is, I don't have to use a ton of different tools. I don't have to use a ton of different brushes to really just kind of jump right in. Um, I've working with a lot of traditional sculptors. A lot of these guys that I know, they've been able to, uh, you know, go right into Mudbox and begin, being effective, and not having to really know the ins and outs of what it's, you know, how complex some of the things that it's doing, how many polygons it's pushing at such a fast rate. Those things aren't that, you don't really need to know about that stuff. All you really need to know is, okay, I just want to push down an area, pull up an area, and you can just kind of go to town. It's the overall, UI is very intuitive. It just makes sense. And if you're accustomed to working in 3D, it's pretty much a breeze to just kind of jump right in and start, really getting your hands dirty and, doing fun stuff. So throughout this entire podcast, um, a lot of this you can just kind of follow along. It's kind of nice for me because I probably won't have to talk so much about what I'm doing, but a lot of it is just kind of like really working out some of these shapes and forms, and just kind of having fun a little bit, designing, and you know, it's a pretty free process, which I like. That's a nice thing about modeling a hand and sculpting a hand is, you know, yes, there are, those basic forms that you want to lock down, but for the most part, hands are so different, and so there's no one hand that we're trying to sculpt here. It's and especially being an older hand, you do have a lot of freedom to just kind of have a lot of fun with especially with the tertiary stuff coming up. And when you look at the palm, there are just so many these secondary forms there that just add to the overall shape of the hand. So it's nice to just kind of exercise your eye, just look in an area and just really just kind of add as much detail as you want, really.